Hi, welcome to Remember This. I'm your host, Denise Bolin. My guest today is an international award winning creative artist, writer, author, producer, actor, and influencer. She's the host and creator of the Donna Drake show, Live It Up. I am thrilled to have her here. Everyone, welcome Donna Drake. Donna,
Thank
thank you
you,
so much
Denise.
for joining me.
Today was a magical, interesting day. And I thank you so much for having me on. And I know that you have this really cool, fun background, and I would as well. But today, I am in, I would call the graveyard of my studio, because today was a day that we were just moving boxes and setting up new lights uh, and I was explaining to you off camera that I tried 3 different computers. Finally, I said, oh my gosh, I know which one I can use. My old trusty standby. So I'm back in Studio C with this old Mac computer, but it works. And then
There you
microphone,
go.
and we're good to go.
I
So
always
thank you
go
so much.
back
We've
to basics.
interviewed a lot of the same people. Like over
I
the
know,
years, I've
yeah.
interviewed a lot
Kelly
of celebrities,
Lang.
business owners. Yeah,
Right,
tons of them.
right, right. Mackenzie Phillips, but not the Mackenzie Phillips, right? And she was so sweet, the little country singer. Yeah,
Yeah, she's very talented.
yeah.
So I'm going to do my best to not
Okay.
be the interviewer. I'm going to really try hard. So I'm going to
I
calm my
know,
mind, and I'm
I
just going
know.
to answer the questions. It's really
I know.
difficult for me.
I was interviewed maybe twice, and it was very difficult for me.
Ugh,
But you're gonna do just fine.
thank you.
Okay. So I want to let my audience know that you have, first of all, that you are an inspiration to me. Okay, not only because you have your own talk show, the Donna Drake Show, Live It Up, which I watch all the time, and you're in your 12th year, and I believe you've interviewed probably over 7,500 people, over 600 episodes. Is that right? Something like that.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So not only do you have your own show, but you are the head of your own network, Drake Media Network. And in 2020, you founded Drake Media Studios, where you are right now, right?
Yes.
Um, so I just knew, because your show is so uplifting and so positive all the time. It's a feel good show that I just knew that I had to meet you and talk with you.
Well, I'm
So,
honored that you invited me, and thank you for being patient with my schedule to allow me to say
oh,
yes, because I'm also a mom of a senior in high school. And so this final year, this final month, Denise, is like, whoo. So,
I
but here we are together. We made it work. So thank
we
you.
made it work, and I will be there next year because my youngest is a junior in high school. So that will be me there next year. So I totally get it. So before we get into how like all this came about with your network, your show, um, I always like to get backstories. So if you can take us back to your childhood and tell us what that was like for you. What was your family like? What was it like growing up?
I grew up in a very traditional beaver cleaver kind of household. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and every night my mom would cook dinner and have it on the table by 5 o'clock. And my dad worked for AT&T, and I was the oldest of 3 children. I lived in a ranch style house. We always drove used cars, like we had a Pontiac Ventura. We had one of those station wagons that had like the wood
The
paneling on the
paneling, yes,
side,
I had
and
that.
it was like an olive green. Funny story from my childhood is when I learned how to drive Denise, I accidentally ran into like this box that had newspapers in it, and my mom was with me, and my mom took the hit. Now let me explain to you what that means. Uh, she didn't want my dad to be mad at us, and so what she did is she said she was driving. So not I don't think I've ever shared that in an
Cool
interview ever.
mom.
But yes, my mom was the best. Like my
Very.
mother, yeah, Judy Campana was the saint among all saints. She was like the neighborhood mother, where people would go to her and be like, Judy, I've got a problem. My mother would counsel them. Judy, I need a ride somewhere. My mom and dad aren't home yet. Can I eat dinner at your house? My mother was the best of the best. And my dad and I are still very close friends, but that just gives you a glimpse of, like the Sears Roebuck toy
Yes.
catalog, and I would fold the little corners of every toy under the sun, and my mom and dad and Santa Claus would somehow come through, whether it was like the Barbie townhouse or so I had I had everything I needed and most of what I wanted, and did not know that we were middle class. I mean, I knew growing up in high school that kids lived in this Castle Ray development, and oh, these were all big, like gigantic mansions. But for the most part, I grew up with eating ham and cheese for lunch, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a
Yes.
Twinkie, a ding dong. You know,
Yes.
that was my. So
Yes.
I hope is I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to know about my childhood, but that's basically it.
Great. Very
It's as
detailed.
simple. It is
Very,
simple and as American slice of apple pie as you could
I
possibly
love
get.
it. I love it.
Thank
And you
and
didn't
on
grow up in New
Sundays,
York. Where did you grow up?
no, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and every Sunday we would go to church at my grandma and grandpa Fields' house and then we'd have lunch and pancakes there, where my grandmother would always make all the cousins like silver dollar pancakes. And then we would go to my dad's parents and we'd have dinner there at 5 o'clock on Friday night. So my grandfather was from the Italian part of Switzerland. So I grew up kind of, mostly with Italian cuisine. And then we would all have family dinner with my other side of my other cousins. I mean, I grew up in like I had the best childhood. And now as an adult, when I find out that somebody hasn't had a good childhood, I'll take them out and we'll swing on swings. I try, I guess, with my show to make up for that in some way, to sprinkle goodness of my amazing childhood. Like you could have written it in like a better poem. I'm not saying I didn't get in trouble. I did sometimes, but I was a good kid and came from a nice family and grew up on a beautiful street and had everything that you would want in a middle-class life.
And I'm sure it was very similar in St. Louis, how it wasn't. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and in the morning, or my mother 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, go out and play, come in for lunch, go back out. And we hung out in the streets and friends' houses, and we didn't have to worry that something was going to happen to us, because we had eyes everywhere, right? Yeah. My mom's friends, they would get on the phone if they saw me doing something I shouldn't be doing, and call my mom, but as long as we were home, by the time the street lamps went on, we were okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one thing I regret in my childhood, though, from a health perspective, and that was we would have this truck that would come through, Denise, and spray out mosquito insect spray, like the fog machine, and all of us kids would be running in the fog. There's so many things growing up in the 70s that we just didn't know. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. And my mom passed away from breast cancer when I was pregnant with my oldest son.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And so what's interesting for me is when I look back on things, is like there's things now that we're doing with our children that we don't know are going to be like, oh, I can't believe we did that had we only known. But we do the best we can. And I think that that's what it was still the same street corner that I played, street tennis with a tennis racket. And my house, everybody came to my house and we'd go down in the basement and we'd be dancing with, those, we had this one fountain light, Denise, that lit up. It was like little fiber optics that would spray out. And then I remember I had the cool house. I remember the and then like not the lava lamps, but it was like this thing that it was a black ball that had all these different like colors on it.
Like
and
the
it would
black
turn
light.
Disco light. Yeah.
Like the strobe
light. We had all that stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that's where we were,
I love it.
It was fun. But that's my childhood.
And who was on your wall? Who was it? Donnie Osmond. Mine was Tony DeFranco. I don't know if you even remember who he was. I was big on Tony DeFranco.
I haven't had Donnie Osmond on my show yet, or Marie, but I'm actually thinking about reaching out because it was one time I did really well on my report card. And back then, he's cool. We'd only get gifts if it was our birthday or if it was Christmas. But I did really well. And then it was the album where he wore the purple hat. And I opened up the door. And there, leaning against the record player and the BSR like amplifier, was this album. Donnie was staring right at me. And I just wanted to like melt. I was like, so it made me happy. It made me really happy. And then the other day, I watched Blue Lagoon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
was that
so she's our age. Yeah, Brooke Shields. She's exactly my age. And boy, did that bring back memories, because there were songs and stuff that I just remember. Like if my boyfriend and I at the time, my high school boyfriend and I were broke up or whatever, I'd get a phone call, and I remember the phone was attached to the wall with like this
Yes.
gold yellow cord, and I'd run into the bathroom with the extension cord, and I'd climb up on the sink, and I would just talk to him, and then he would sing the song to me, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that's our song, like silly stuff. But I like the theme of your show. It's fun to reminisce sometimes.
It really is. So I started my show in you're interviewing me now. I started my show in 2015, and no, you're good. And started from a Facebook group that I created called Remember This, and we were posting like bell bottoms and platform shoes, and everything, from growing up in the 60s, the 70s. And so many people were like really getting into it, reminiscing. I was like, this should be on TV, and I was working with the community television station at the time. I was like, I'm going to do a show about that. Remember that. And my very first show, I brought on Click Clacks. Remember the Click Clacks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Beverly Knight across the street had those.
Right? They were so dangerous, but I'd always stand like way, way back when people were doing them. But I brought on a record player, a single, and I said, this is not only great for us to reminisce, our generation, but the young generation to see how we had it, because this was all new. A lot of them didn't even know what a record player was until just recently when they started, bringing them back. So it's fun.
Yeah, it is a really great time.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in all of this? Having your own show, your own studio, your own network?
I think, oh my gosh, it just goes back my whole life. Like if I were a tapestry and we just kept adding patches, like on a patchwork quilt, and one patch leads to the next, to the next, to the next. That's really how it is. Like I grew up singing in a patriotic singing group, so I would sing songs, so I would travel with them, and my television show now features celebrities, business owners, nonprofit organizations. It's like, it's a feel-good show. It's uplifting. But that is a direct result of me growing up in this patriotic singing group called the Futures of America from the time I was 12 to the time I was 23. And we would sing for the Special Olympics, and we would sing for the veterans, and we would do all these great community shows. It just seized me, I guess, if you will. Like if I was a piece of meat, it was like, I was well seasoned, right? But I've been marinating over the years.
In a slow cooker,
yeah.
Right?
I do like to talk in analogies. I think it's because I'm an artist, and I'm a very visual person, much more visual than I am to sit and read a book. I like books, but not as much as I like conversation or going to see live theater or live music or a play or something like that. So or going to see historical places. So I think for me, it started there. It started with the Futures of America. It started with the morning announcements in high school. It started with middle school being in a play. So that whole acting, art, music just kind of kept happening in my whole life until such a point that it became a critical mass. And morning announcements, I was like, hey, be sure to get your yearbook on Friday, and if you want your senior pictures in color, be sure to pay the extra $75. It closes out on Friday. I mean, I was doing it, and I volunteered to do it, and I sang the national anthem. I love the national anthem. I would sing the national anthem. So as the years
went by, at a young age, I mean, and you didn't feel inhibited. You weren't afraid. You weren't embarrassed. That's awesome.
No, I was a little shy. Like I could do acting, but if you told me that I was going to grow up and have my own talk show and be the host of this own, that I might not have foreseen. I didn't see this. Right. I saw me acting, and I saw me doing those types of things. But this is surreal. At some point when the television show was divinely gifted to me in 2008 while I was sleeping, it no longer became just me. The show is not my show. It's not about me. I'm like the facilitator. The show really truly belongs to God. It belongs to the universe. It's beyond me. Because if people realize that my studio that I'm currently in right now, that's my studio, my name's on the door, it's the exact address, Denise, that I worked in my 20s. I was the promotion coordinator here. I was the person that did, up next it's Oprah, followed by Jeopardy, then it's Wheel of Fortune. And they, at the time, wouldn't hire someone that looks like me to be on camera. They were all tall, good-looking blondes, right?
Twinkies.
So Yeah, and no problem with that at the time, but it just wasn't happening. I learned everything I could behind the scenes about production. Still was doing acting, but then I got invited to do Indies Insider, which was a behind the scenes look at the entertainment industry on public access with my friend Donna McKenna, Judy Prianti, and Bob Harrison. And we were doing that talk show. And then that show spun off to be on WLIR on Sunday nights on radio. So all of this stuff just kept growing and growing. And then in 2008, while I was sleeping, I saw what I have now. I saw the people, the lights, the everything. And I've just been manifesting on that for the last, it's actually 15 years. You had mentioned 12, but it's my bad. You know why? Because I haven't updated my website. So you didn't get the, so it's it wasn't your fault. But yes, it's been 15 years, and I've interviewed close to 15,000 people, and I've been all over the world. So yes, I have the TV show, and the TV show allowed me to take over this particular studio, which only became available during COVID when CBS was bought by Viacom, and they already had a place out in Long Island. So like my life, like I don't know who would write it, and I probably couldn't play myself, but it's a miraculous. That's what I mean by it's bigger than me, if that makes sense to you. Like I just get to play a person in my life, right? I get to bring people jobs. I get to shine a light on people. I get to celebrate nonprofit causes. I get to do all these beautiful things. And I mean that with the most sincerest of hearts. It's really not me, because too many magical things happen. For instance, this is magical today too. I go to Angela's house store. It's a cute story. I don't mean to talk too much, but
I'm going to come in for a close-up. I don't want you to think we're getting disconnected. Okay.
Woo, okay.
There you go.
All right. So I go to Angela's house today to buy something. And Angela's house is one of my, good favorite charities, and they have this really cool store in Patchogue. So I find this old antique art easel, because now that Matthew's going away to college, I'm thinking maybe I'll paint more. I'll go back to art and paint some more. Right. I don't have enough busy things to do, but I'm excited. So I go to buy this antique easel, and as I'm leaving with this easel that was built in before 1919, at possibly a factory either in Philadelphia or St. Louis. Once again, that's where I'm from, St. Louis. So I always look for these magical signs in my life. And I'm getting ready to leave, and I said to myself, I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have had cash. I really should have tipped the person that put it in the car for me. Doggone it, maybe I'll come back and I'll give them cash. Liam, who works with me, who came with me, says, hey, Donna, there's a $20 bill underneath your car.
Look at that.
I can't make this stuff up. So if you were sitting with me and we were on a road trip, magical things happen to me all the time, and I just every day say thank you. Thank you for the life I'm on. Thank you for the journey. Let me use my talents. Let me use my treasure. Let me use what I have, my platform, for the greater good of all. And that's it. That's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. And so I feel like, I told you before we started recording how I feel like we have things in common. We have even more things that I thought we had in common, because I feel the same way. I feel like, this is God's platform, and let him lead, and he opens doors, and he brings the people, and and what you just said, I'm telling you, you're going to laugh. I was just straightening up to make sure everything looked good. And I'm moving this plant next to me. Here, I'm going to come in like this. I'm moving this plant next to me. And this week has been a little tough, and I was a little short on cash. And I'm like, I really need, to pay this bill. And I'm moving the plant, and money falls out onto the floor. So when you said that, I was like, that just happened to me, Donna, about 20
minutes ago. It's your new I Dream of Genie bottle. It's your new I Dream of Genie bottle. Denise, I know. And people would think that we're like smoking the wacky weed. And I'm not. I'm like, I'm high on life, And today I'm really proud of myself too, Denise, because I didn't get in my own way. Like, I didn't have time to do like mascara or makeup. I like you said, wasn't planning on being in this space.
Beautiful.
I appreciate that. But the point is like, I'm at the point in my life now where I feel confident. I've never had that. I've never had that sincere, authentic level of confidence where I could just walk in and just be me. Like the other day I went to the Imagine Awards, and I had first gone to watch my son play shot put. So I had on a dress, and I still had my tennis shoes on, but forgot my heels. And I walked in there, and I was like, I was okay with it. I'm like, I'm here. And it's not about me. It's not how I look or what I'm wearing. It's about celebrating those people that won those great awards for the Imagine Awards. It was the nonprofits that were being honored that night. And yeah, it's not about me. So I finally got to that point. It took me a long time. And I feel like that's the greatest freedom in the world. Is really when you can get to the point where it is not about you.
That's right.
I'm like, oh.
I so agree. Being a fortune cookie, that is so true. That is so true. So I want to talk to you about some of the guests that you've had on. Amazing celebrities that you've had on. Jay Leno.
Oh, yes, Jay Leno.
Howie Mandel.
Excellent. Thank you so much. How are you tonight?
I'm living it up.
Woo! God bless you. Yes.
You see what I did? I was able to take the show name and work it into an answer.
It's my lucky day tonight.
I'm a professional.
You are. You're the best. How was your panel the other day?
I was fantastic. I really enjoyed me. I'm a huge fan of mine. I've never missed anything I've done, and this lived up to every expectation I have. Anything I'm involved with, even this appearance on your show, is tremendous. I'm DVRing it, so don't tell me what's going to happen.
I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen, but I am going to ask you this question. When you were coming up, how did you know that you were going to make it in this industry? What was the moment where you said, damn, you know what? I think I can make a living at this.
I still haven't said that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think about making it. For me, is knowing what industry you want to be in and doing it, you know, and the fact that this is what I do, whether I make rent money or not, I feel like that's making it.
It's your passion.
Most people are not doing what they want to do each and every day, and I am.
Excellent. And in your spare time, if there is any spare time, do you have a hobby? Do you like to paint? Do you like to read? Do you like to take care of animals?
I'll paint and read and take care of animals, but I like doing this. Okay. This is what I do. This is my spare time. This is my hobby. This is my life. This is my living, and this is my love.
Excellent. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think you're awesome.
And you had on my favorite Brady boy, Christopher Knight, aka Peter Brady, pork chops and applesauce. I love that you had him on.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I just met Jan Brady, but not from the TV show, the one from the variety show.
Yes.
Jerry Reichel? Yeah.
Yes.
So she's amazing. And then you had, and we just lost him, you had the pleasure of talking with Jerry Springer, which is wonderful.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I love Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked him a lot.
Can you tell us about that interview?
Well, when I started my show 15 years ago, I made a joke and I'd be like, well, we're the opposite of Jerry Springer. I used to tell everybody that. I'm the opposite of Jerry Springer.
Right.
I'm like, we don't throw chairs at anybody. Nobody's saying anything hateful. I'm like this, you know, I'm like the do-gooder, you know. And it was so surreal a few years ago when I was down in Florida at this TV convention and he was there celebrating some awards. And we just had the best conversation together. And it was in that moment that I realized that he thought the show was stupid. He laughed. And it was meant to be that. It was meant to be comedy relief. It was never supposed to be taken so seriously. And, you know, he was a judge by trade. And so we started singing. I don't know if you got a chance to see the interview, but it was really sweet. Going back to when I sang in that patriotic singing group, we would sing a song about like all 50 states and some different cities, like, why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why did you ever leave Ohio? And then we talked about Cleveland. And
beautiful voice, Donna.
Oh, thank you. It was a really sweet moment. And then he serenaded me back.
Natty said, look, you've been the mayor, you know the city, would you anchor our news? So they offered me a job to anchor their news, and I did that for 10 years. And then that company also owned talk shows. And they owned Phil Donahue, Sally Jessy Raphael. And when Phil retired, they said, we're starting a new talk show, you're going to host it. So it's been...
Were you shocked by that? Were you like, who, me? Or did you like say, yeah, you know what, I really want to do it?
I had no idea what talk shows were, really. Okay. You know, I thought I'd either be in politics or journalism. And or go back to practicing law, which is what I started. So no, I had no idea. And they said, just, you're an employee, we're assigning you to this job, and do it. And all of a sudden the show took off, and I've been very, very lucky.
Do you know the Ohio song?
Absolutely not.
Okay, would you like to hear it?
Yes.
It goes like this. Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why did I ever leave Ohio? Why did I wander to find what lies yonder? Maybe I better go home. That's the official song.
That is great. And I know the banks of the Ohio.
Okay, just give us a little bit.
I asked my love to take a walk, just a little walk, down beside where the rivers flow, down by the banks of the Ohio.
Wow, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
So my interviews are never planned. My interviews are mostly spontaneous. Like even with Christopher Knight, I just have conversations with people, just like we're having tonight, just like a real deal, as if I was having a slice of pizza and a Coke or something.
Oh, no, you don't. What are you doing? Polishing your shoes. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to do it every day for you.
You don't have to do that.
I owe you. Go do something you enjoy.
Peter, are you sure you don't have something on your mind?
No. Yeah. I mean, I feel just fine. I've never felt better in my whole short life.
Yeah, well, we didn't ask you how you felt, Peter.
What do you mean, short life?
Joining us now is Christopher Knight. Hello, Christopher. How are you?
Hello, Donna. I'm fine. Thank you.
You know, life is such a funny journey. And so you've been in this business for such a long time. And now you're producing things. You're doing all types of things. Can we just go back in time? Because I know my audience would love to hear you talk about your experience with that iconic show, The Brady Bunch. What was that like for you to play that role?
It's been my life experience. So I mean, I can associate how it to others' life experiences and then recognize that it's quite different, exceptionally different. I was very lucky. And my life took this journey that who would have known at the time in doing it that it would perpetuate itself and continue to alter my trajectory lifelong. I mean, it was a comedy. I was a child actor, and it was meant to entertain. And I think it has become a touchstone. And as such, it is not just remembered fondly, but used as an example of our not understanding, our aspiration for the American family, because it is a functioning family with a lot of respect and love shown. And perhaps it's not always in others' families like the Bradys, but as I told my mom, there's nothing wrong with at least using it as an example of something that you would like to have at home.
And it really was relatable for a lot of families, you know, the things that you guys would go through, even though it was done in a comedic way, right? I still use some of the things like, you know, the one show, the one episode where it said you just pretend like everybody's in their underwear, or funny like little things, you know, that help you, I guess, right? That help you have confidence, or it taught a lot of things. It taught about good community spirit, doing those things like, or Alice, you know, showing respect for one another, or getting along with your siblings. Like my brother Michael and I and my brother Tony, we would fight sometimes, but you know, there's something about that wholesomeness, if you will, you know, that corniness, but that is a slice of Americana. And you're right. It was fun. And it was great. And it's fun to have you be on the show. But just recently, all of you kids got back together. What was that like? Because I just saw it the other day on one of the big networks.
Are you talking about the recent Masked Singer that Michael, Barry, and I did?
You never know where to be found, so you better get ready.
Panel, talk to the mummies, please.
That was so much fun, you guys. I would mummy around with you anywhere you want to go.
Yes.
Honestly. And by the way, your harmony was beautiful, and you guys practiced some choreography. You guys were really into it.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it different, because a lot of times when you watch talk shows, Denise, you know that the host is reading what they call a teleprompter, and they're just reading the questions off the teleprompter.
Yes.
And I don't do that. I write my own questions. I come up with my own thoughts. And sometimes it's spontaneous. Like sometimes I get this like message or like this thought from above, and it goes in my ear, and I'll be like, I'm going to ask them this. And then the guests are like I remember Monique Zorn. from Zorn's Chicken. I had asked her about the old sign, the old like lit sign that used to be in her, there. They got a new sign. And I said, oh yeah. I said, and you put the old sign in your backyard. She's like, Donna, I never told anybody that. She said, how would you even know that? Yeah. She said, I didn't tell. She goes, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. It just like came to me.
Wow.
I laugh because some of the questions and stuff with celebrities, I'm just like, oh, I guess the things that you would think people would want to know. And I know that you do the exact same thing.
I do. In fact, like I had Don McLean on, and that was like, oh, that was an answer to prayer. I really wanted to have him on.
Yes.
The 50th anniversary of American
Bye. Sing with me. Miss American
I don't think it's
drove my Chevy to the levee.
but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing.
This will be the day that I die. I hope not. This will be the day that I die.
And I tell people so they know that was a tribute to That'll Be the Day, right? That'll be the day that I did. That was a tribute.
That is a tribute. It was a tribute to your time that you got to talk with Don McLean. So that's cool.
So we started out, I had my little questions, and we started out as an interview, and immediately, like you said, it just was a conversation. We were just having a conversation, just like hanging out, and it was just magical. And I love that. And I think people feel so comfortable when you interview that way, in that manner. They just feel so comfortable,
I've gotten nice compliments over the years. Like now the PR people or the agents will call me and they'll be like, my client is so excited to be on your show. Do you have room for them? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me look. Yeah. But no, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I would love to interview that person. Where it used to be before, I'd be like begging. Oh, I have this show and it's a local show and can I blah, blah, blah. Now when I'm like, I'm in 25 countries and we're on 15 different podcasts and we're all over the world. And now people are calling me and I'm like, oh yes, we would love
Isn't that amazing?
Have that person on. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good and it makes things easier.
Somebody once said to me, don't say local when you talk about your show, because I would always say, I have a local cable show.
Denise,
don't say local.
You're not local cable.
People watch you all over. Right.
Yeah, you're all over the world. And that's the nice thing that technology has brought forth.
Yes.
Is that technology has brought forth the ability for other people to have their own shows. And I like that. I like mentoring people. I like talking to students, telling them that all things are possible, that every single thing is possible. And
so tell us about your studio. So do you train them to be like producers, how to use the equipment? What do you guys do?
Yeah, we do. Like there's this one successful person and her name is Allie Melendez. And Allie was my intern from Oneonta years ago. And Allie at the time was too shy to be on camera. And now she's the host of her own television show. I mean, like, and she also with the Nets, like, the Long Island Nets basketball, she's like the in-game announcer. And Allie is now engaged. And Allie, like, but she's like, when I think about the process of where I'm at in my life and after teaching at Five Towns College and just all the different people that I've had the opportunity to work with over the years, I take a little bit of pride in that, in knowing that I made someone's journey just a little easier, just a little lighter, and they're great for me too. Like they love and respect me and I get back just as much, right? Like I was joking around and I said, oh my gosh, they like rewired all the computers and blah, 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 right? Today, they're wonderful. They're eager, but they're givers. I surrounded myself with the most giving, most talented, most amazing people they are. So the studio is like 8,500 square feet. We have a large main studio that's grid lit. I have a brand new, beautiful white side wall that has a front projection system, which is the way that they filmed like Mandalorian, where you can put the projection on the wall, like the scenery, and then you film the people in front of that. So I do have the best of the best technology, something that you would find at like a big Lionsgate studio, but I have it here in a boutique setting. And I've got some big clients. Like we've done major films here, major television shows here. We do podcasts. So no matter where somebody's at on their journey, but they have a very small budget, they're just starting out, or whether they have a decent, you know, Hollywood type of budget. We make people feel at home here. I like to think of it as my large finished basement. Like I just like, it's like people come, they'll come for like an hour, and it's so great because then they'll stay for 3 because they look at all the memorabilia that we have here. I hope you'll come by. Denise, will you please come?
I would love to. I thank you for the invitation. I would love to. I'm not very far from you. I'm on Staten Island.
Yeah, it's like a TV. It's like a TV, film, and music studio here, where it's like a museum.
So awesome. And speaking of TV, can you tell the audience what you have in your studio from your childhood?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I have my Zenith. You're gonna make me get teary. I have my Zenith. So when my parents got married, they did their wedding gift to each other. It's a 1964 Zenith, and growing up, I told my dad, "Could you please save it for me, because I'm gonna someday use it for a table." And he'd be like, "Sure, Donna Marie," and he left it in the basement for me. And every time I would go back over the years to see if it was still there, he's like, "Yeah, it's still there." And I'm like, "Okay, one day I'm gonna, you know, use it as a table." Okay. And it was about 5 years ago, I think. I had moved around from different studios, and you shipped it up. And I was filming, and there was a knock at the door, and it was the U-Ship people, and they brought it in and they placed it on set. And I still have my television, and that's the same TV that I used to watch television on as a kid. And I'm so thankful to my dad that he didn't just say, "Oh, she doesn't need it. She's moved to New York. I'm going to get rid of it," or whatever. I'm just so thankful because I did. It's the real deal. That's not what I bought at a prop store. It's mine. It's my TV. So thanks. That's cool. That's wonderful. I have that. That's my childhood piece. Thank you for researching that. Thank you for knowing that.
I have a little stool that belonged to my grandparents, and it was a little stool, like a footstool, but I was little. So when I would sit on the living room floor, I would lean on it. I would draw pictures. It was like a little table for me, and I still have that, and that means a lot to me. So I know how that feels.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for asking about that. Yeah, that's still a winner every time. So Andy Cohen is also from St. Louis, and he's got a TV on his set too, which I just discovered like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I was wondering, I want to call him. He's another person that about 5 people have wanted us to connect so far. It just hasn't happened. I'm like, all right. Well, and that to me means that I'm not done yet. Like, I'm not done with this journey. I think I'm going to work till I'm about 90. And in the last 10 years. Yeah, 90. Yeah, I feel like at 86, I feel like when I'm 86, there's going to be like some sort of tribulation. You know, like maybe, I don't know, maybe my knees are going to go out or something. And then I'm going to have a choice whether I want to kick in for the next 15 years or go away. And I think I'm going to stay because I'm already celebrating. I'm already picking out what I'm going to do for my 100th birthday, which will be June 3rd of 2065. So I feel like I'm going to work till I'm 90 and then I'm going to relax. At least that's what I'm hearing. At least that's what my angels or my being is telling me. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you're making such an impact, and you're such an inspiration to women. You've won awards. Can you talk about the awards?
I did, but I told people now, don't honor me for anything else. I don't want to win anything else because I don't want, here's the thing. I don't want anything else to dust. And I don't mean that rudely. It's that my children, especially with Matthew now, I'm going to be an empty nester. My kids don't want it. They don't want my stuff. You know, they might want 1 or 2 things, like Elise is the most sentimental out of all my kids. Right. But I'm not ungrateful for the times that people have recognized me for my philanthropic efforts or my talent or what I've done in our industry. I am grateful for every person that has ever given me an accolade. It's really nice. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. It's been wonderful, right? But they could just honor me, but they don't have to actually like give me something. It's the something. It's the something at this point. The other day on Facebook, I wrote something that said that I no longer value anything that is inanimate. I mean, I put it in better words, but something about the fact of the matter that things have no value to me anymore. They just don't. So I'm either giving them away. I was going to have a gigantic garage sale, which I still might, but I'm more of the type of person that's like, if something's no longer servicing me, just be gone with it.
Right.
And now that Andrew has his own home, Elise has her own home, and Matthew's going away to college. So yes, I will tell you that yes, I won the Goddess Artemis Award from the Euro-American Women's Council. I've won National Telly Awards. I have won a beautiful honor twice from the Schneps Communications. I've won the International Business Women's Award. I've won United Nations. I'm a global citizen from the United Nations. So yes, all of those wonderful things happened for me and to me. I am ever so grateful for. 2 years ago, I entered. Probably 100 years ago, I entered the Emmys, and I didn't get nominated for anything. And I thought, but I don't. But it didn't bother me. Like I'm.
Wait, can you say that again? Because I think you broke up. Can you say that part again?
Yes. A couple of years ago, for the very first time, I decided to enter the Emmys. And I didn't enter for myself. I entered for a couple of other people that work here because they would like to have one, right? And it's not like it would be terrible. And in 1994 or 1996, I actually owned the emmygal@aol.com email address. I don't think I use it anymore. It's probably, but I still own it. It's still there. I just don't check that one very often. So anyway, but I didn't get anything. I didn't get nominated. I was like, oh. So this year I wanted to enter again for the people that work for me. But the deadline came up and I was like, oh my gosh, forgot about that. But if I was going to win something, I would do that. Maybe down the road when I'm a little older, if I decide to do more acting and I could win, I don't think I have time to be an EGOT, but maybe I do. I don't know. If I'm like 60 now and I start now, maybe. But yes, I have won nice things, but I do joke around with people a lot. And I'm like, please do not. I don't want to be nominated for anything anymore. I'm good with what I got. I'm happy. Honor somebody else, and I'll go to the awards, or I'll MC the awards. I love MCing awards. Those are fun. Those are a lot of fun.
Great. That's great. And you have such confidence. So if you're MCing an award ceremony, what do? Do you write like you put little notes, or you just get up and wing it?
I get up and wing
it. That's awesome.
The other day, there are notes, but the other day I was honored to work with the SCO organization, and the SEO organization helps about 50,000 New Yorkers every single day in multiple capacity of ways. And I got invited by Juliet McKenna invited me to be their MC. So we go to New York City. It's on this. We go all the way up to like the 38th floor of Manhattan to this really swanky like conference room, and I'm looking all of Manhattan. It's absolutely beautiful. And they did a really good job. I think it was a company called B Ventures. And I apologize, it's B something. They had the event, they had a beautiful jazz band, and they gave me the documents of the things that I was supposed to read. But then there comes this moment where I'm relating to the audience and I go off script and I make it conversation also with them. Like we have fun and we laugh. And so that's my typical style. Like if somebody gives me things to read, yes, I have gone and I've been hired to read the list of the names, but nobody wants to do that anymore. Nobody wants to sit through 3 hours of listening to people's names while you're eating a piece of rubber cold chicken. People, been there, done that. Nobody wants to go to those events anymore. So I feel like as the MC, it's my responsibility to give them something engaging, memorable, fun, where they laugh, or they cry, or they emote. And so that goes back to my stand-up comedy days. Like I actually went to—
I was going to ask you if you did stand-up comedy.
I did. Wow. I did stand-up university. The reason that I don't do stand-up right now is that a lot of times you have to work a little like un-G-rated. So my television show and my brand right now is pretty G-rated, PG-rated, which makes it sponsor safe. If I go and I do stand-up, I have to be a different version of Donna Drake to do stand-up to make it work. Because nobody wants to hear like bubblegum and raindrops and, like people like, tell me where the baby's ugly, like you have to be a different version. But that stand-up training has helped me, I believe, in being a noteworthy MC. I think that's one of the reasons people hire me is that when I go, I'm witty, I try to be naturally funny, and I try to do a good job. And I try to say everybody's name correctly. So the one thing I will do is that if I get ahead of myself and I see, who's going to be honored, it's really important to me that I say their name correctly. And in one time at Nassau Community College, yeah, and one time at Nassau Community College, afterwards, somebody said to me, "Oh, you didn't say that person's name correct." And I went back up on stage and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a moment to say this person's name correctly, because it's all a person really has at the end of the day is their name. It doesn't matter whether the king of some crazy, foreign planet, or, they're like the person that's like sweeping the floor. By the way, I love the person that works with us here. Like everybody deserves respect. And so that's one thing as an MC, I will not screw up somebody's name. Just won't. It won't sit well with me. I won't sleep at night.
That's got to be hard, because I'm sure there are some names that are really hard to pronounce.
Stony Brook University, all the graduates. I had to do the graduates with Brian Cohen one year, and I had to understand like how a QI makes the certain sound. And I tried. I did it phonetically, and I did okay. I worked really hard on that.
Yeah.
So.
Is it like a K sound?
Yeah, certain last names have different.
I just learned how to say quinoa. I just learned quinoa.
Is it quinoa? Oh yeah,
I think I'm saying it right. Quinoa. I thought it was quinoa.
What about potpourri? Remember what potpourri? Potpourri, but it was spelled potpourri. Yeah. Oh my God, give me some of that potpourri.
Potpourri, that's right.
Gotta get potpourri. Like what? Like
oh my God, it's too funny.
Potpourri. Or quesadillas instead of quesadillas. I mean, this is silly. But it doesn't really matter. As long as they call you for dinner, it doesn't really matter.
That's absolutely right.
So we're talking to me. Like we're out just like
you're wonderful. I don't want to keep you much longer, but I did want to ask you. I know you wrote a book. I don't know if you want to get into, about your book. That's up to you.
Yeah, right now the book I would like to talk about. There's two other books I would love to speak about. Okay. One is Manifesting Your Dreams, which is a collection of stories by Marla McKenna. And Manifesting Your Dreams has been written about in Oprah's magazine 3 times already. And it's a really good book. And I think it's available on Amazon. I don't get any money for the copies that are sold on Amazon, but buy it anyway.
Okay.
And then
why is that? Why is that?
No, it's just because I could have elected to do that, but I didn't. It was fine. And Marla McKenna, it's great. And I think the publisher is Nico 11 Publishing. But it's a wonderful book of about 20 short stories that will tell you everything you've wanted to know about me, but you wanted to forget. But then today, and then there's a new, a second version that's coming out. And I'm one of the authors in that second version. And that's going to be coming out to bookshelves soon. Because at the time when I wrote the book, I did not take possession of this studio. So it was the dream up until that point. And now, the fact that I'm back in this exact same 270 South Service Road address, man, it's good. It's good stuff.
Awesome.
Good stuff, my friends. Good stuff.
And you're just proof that when you're open to what God has for us, because He has a plan for all of us, we have to be open to it.
And I will tell you straight out, I'm a sinner. I am like not a perfect, I'm not so pious. I don't think I'm above anybody. I'm like an everyday person. I'm like I do the best I can with what I got. I try to be a good person, and then I move forward, but yeah, it's not like I think that I'm not better than anybody. I'm just on the same journey.
You are so real. That's why I wanted to meet you. I wanted to speak with you. I wanted my audience to meet you, and they can watch your show. You're on YouTube. Are you on any other platforms? Are you on Rumble?
Yeah, if somebody has a smart television, they could literally go to a free app, which is called Binge, Binge. It's a black button that has handwriting. So on 100 different smart TV devices, Binge is already embedded into your television. It doesn't cost you anything. And so Drake Media Network is my show. And then I'm a distribution syndicator for other people's shows. So I put a whole bunch of other shows, content onto the Drake Media Network. So that's one way people can watch me. They can watch, of course, on YouTube. Although on YouTube, my analytics are broken because I was on YouTube before Google bought it. So it looks like 8 people watch, but it's thousands of people that watch. So don't let the numbers make you think that it's a bad show. It's a great show. I'm I'm going to be coming to Tubi. You'll be able to see the show.
Oh, exciting.
We're just starting to let people know that. Yep. So my show got picked up by Tubi. And if they look at me, if they look up on LinkedIn, I think that there's like a picture, or on my Facebook, of all the different places you can listen to me on iHeartRadio, and wherever televisions are, I am. I'm on the air somewhere 24 hours a day. Yeah. I'm starting to get recognized too, Denise, which is kind of silly.
I love it. How do you feel when you're recognized?
Humble. I'm shy. Like, a lot of people wouldn't realize that I'm actually shy. So my extrovertness is covering up for the fact that I'm actually like a little shy. So I tend to say thank you, and then I get kind of like a shrinking little flower, and then I kind of slither away, and then I go and have a conversation somewhere else. I'm not really comfortable with it. I don't know why.
Because you're very humble.
I don't know.
Yourself as a
I just say thank you. I think I'm also overwhelmed and grateful when people watch the show. I'm like, wow, you watch my show? Like, you take because you can always make more money, Denise, but you can never make more time. And I say that quote often. And if somebody gives me, like you tonight, you gave me an hour of your time. When somebody gives me their time, I'm like, wow, that's an hour that person can never regain, and they chose to spend it with me, right? Wow. So when somebody watches my show and they tell me, oh my gosh, I love the segment you did with this or the other thing, I'm like, wow, they actually are waking up, or they're spending time somewhere quiet on any of these multiple screens, right? And they're spending an hour with me, an hour they're never going to get back. And my only intention is to make sure that I've given them excellent value, that for that hour, I'm showcasing a service that's going to make their life better. I'm going to share an inspirational story that's going to make their journey easier, or give them a great business tip that's going to make them make more money, right? And then I've done my job. And then in my spare time, I love spending time with my kids and my friends, and doing charities and things like that.
That's wonderful.
And soon painting again, right?
I was going to say, don't forget the painting. Don't forget the painting.
Sip and paint. I'll be having classes at my house soon.
What kind of paint now? What kind of paint do you do?
I think I'm gonna go and do oils. I'm gonna do it. Nice. I'm going to do oil landscapes. I'm gonna go way back in the recesses of my brain into like a time of Renaissance. But I think I'm gonna do it. So
that sounds like maybe one day you'll have like a paint night.
Yes, I will. I'll have a paint night. There will be paint nights in the future.
I will be there. If you have one, okay. I will be there. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to ask you one last question, then I'm going to let you go. So who's the one person that you've always wanted to interview, you never got to interview them, and you hope to one day?
Without being blasphemous, if the Lord Jesus Christ came back down to heaven during my lifetime, I would love the opportunity to be one of the people that he talks to get the message out. But without being so spiritual, like when I started the show 15 years ago.
I love it. You're going to make me cry.
I was dating this man named Dave Reed, and I love Dave. Dave's a drummer, super talented guy. When this show was divinely gifted to me, I said to him, I have this feeling like if God comes back, he's going to have to talk to somebody. So I'm going to have a TV show that's all good news, just in case. Like, I'm the person that's supposed to say it. And he laughed. But in my back of my head, I say to myself, somewhere, I say, ooh. But I do feel like God is in each of us. And in a way, when I am shining a light on someone that has overcome a horrible tragedy or these different things, or I do feel like a lot of times God is using my show as a conduit for, his or her universal now, energy, right, going through. So I do feel like that. But if there was a person, I do have a short list of a few people I still would like to have on my show. And it's just a matter of me inviting them. Like I'll invite them, and then if they're busy, I might not invite them again, so I need to get on the phone and say, hey. For instance, the other day at Angela's house, the guy that runs it wants me to interview Rod Stewart. And I was like, oh, I haven't had him on yet. And so I was like, I'm going to reach out to him because he's playing in Connecticut or Bethel or somewhere this fall. So it's just a matter of me calling up his people to say, my people are going to talk to your people, and would you like to come on? How about you? Do you have, because I have to turn the tables before this.
Well, right now I am my people. I am
Yeah.
my people. I'm like a one woman show. So, but what I do is like I go to the events, I meet these people, and I'll tell them I have a talk show, in New York. I'd love to interview you. So next week I get to interview little Ricky. Keith Timko. I met it last week. Yeah, I'm like so excited about that, And
Denise, that's
and
fantastic.
and when you do what we do, we have to be able to handle rejection. It's not always going to happen. There are going to be times you'll email somebody and you'll try and no response. It just doesn't happen, and so we have to accept that. And that's where I say, you know what? God, you bring me the guest that you want on my show, and then I'm okay with it, whoever I get,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
it's a blessing.
absolutely. Yeah, it's not like I've done so many now, and I know you have too. And people are like, "Oh, Pokemon, you got to collect them all," right? It's not a matter of that anymore. It's
No.
like I'm getting some really great guests, and I'm enjoying the process. But that everyday hero to me is just as good as getting a celebrity. Like that
Absolutely.
everyday hero to me, I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, ding. You get to come on, or you get, yeah, that makes sense
Right.
to me. So anyway, thank you for this time.
I love
It was
that.
a lot of fun.
And this was
It was
such
a lot of fun.
We got to do it again. Let's do it again.
I would be honored. Next time though, I would really like to, put on some hair and makeup and do my hair, do my makeup, wear some clothes, and like have a better background than my like
That's
messy
fine.
live stream box. But this was cool. 20 years from now, we'll be looking at this video and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that day. The day I was jumping around and
Trying to
running
get
around like
the
crazy.
computer going, and
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
all good. You're
remember that day.
growing. This is
Thank
all.
you.
This is all good. This is all
Thank
good.
you
Your
so
studio
much.
is growing.
I'm sending you a hug.
I'm taking the hug. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you so much
I
for
love
doing
you
this
too.
with me, and thank you for sharing your story.
Oh my gosh. God bless you, Denise. Happiness
I love
to you.
you.
I love you too. I'm gonna go have some pizza now. How about you? You gonna go eat?
I think I'm gonna do that too. That sounds good.
All right, ciao, Bella.
Have a
Bye.
good one. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Well, thank you for watching. Donna Drake was as amazing as I thought she would be. So don't forget to check out her show. I will put links in the description below the video, but just look for her. It's the Donna Drake Show. Live it up. She is amazing. Thank you for watching, guys. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe so you will be notified when we do more videos. Okay? Until next time, God bless you, and I love you. Bye, guys.